You've never been bitten by a spider. Statistically, you're more likely to be seriously hurt by a vending machine falling on you. And yet, somewhere in your body, right now, there's a switch that spiders can flip that vending machines can't. One tiny animal has become one of humanity's most successful symbols of fear. Some will attribute this response to instinct or evolution. You don't need to have the knowledge of spider venom types and effects, yet you know to stay away. But the truth about this fear is way more bizarre than you think. Most people would say we fear spiders because our ancestors had good reason to. A single bite could mean certain death, and perhaps they watched many succumb to the toxic venom of such a creature. In 2017, researchers at the Max Planck Institute sat 6-month-old infants in front of a screen and showed them random images including flowers, spiders, and fish, among other things. Majority of the infants visibly showed a strong reaction to pictures of spiders, one of the great fears deeply ingrained into the fiber of our being, a sensation mutually understood by all, but somehow difficult to explain, but tends to communicate a very obvious thing: danger. Compelling evidence of a residual trait embedded into our brains through years of evolution. And yet, in a counter-experiment, some infants presented with spider images were completely unfazed, possibly because they had not yet developed the needed danger perception. Or perhaps they were the few who were able to override years of evolutionary programming to defy one of the fundamental fears of man. The results of this experiment led some researchers to claim that fear of spiders is clearly not innate. They were of the opinion that infants are more likely primed to learn that fear from their guardians through observation, rather than being born already having it. This might be a plausible explanation, because most children's earliest encounters with spiders are through the reactions of adults near them. But the explanation isn't that clear-cut. The unease people feel from spiders comes from something much, much deeper. For instance, just their appearance of 8 legs can feel like too many for an animal. The same concept can be seen in the popularized liminal spaces. A slight alteration in the scale of things, and something inside us feels off and unsettling. A similar effect is felt when decorations and structures are multiplied in a space. It's definitely not the same terror as being chased in a forest, but something more subtle. A slight acknowledgement that something is off. Our brain creates internal models of how most creatures are supposed to look. A head and 4 limbs, maybe add a tail at the end. A spider fits the category living creature and breaks the pattern at the same time, familiar and wrong simultaneously. That contradiction is what produces the unease, not the spider itself. That's a real, documented cognitive effect. It's also not unique to spiders. It's the same mechanism liminal spaces use, the same mechanism a wrong number of doors in a hallway uses. So why does the spider get the visceral reaction that an empty parking garage doesn't? There is also something about the way they move that feels wrong, with a certain unpredictability in their motion that can be off-putting. Most 4-limbed animals have one axis of travel: forward, back, maybe a turn, allowing us to predict where they are about to go. With 8 independently moving legs, that math gets a lot messier, and maybe some part of our threat-scanning brain clocks this and becomes a fear of unknown. The brain is always looking for recognizable patterns because certainty feels safe. But break that pattern, and your mind gets thrust into a sense of chaos. Their bodies were never built for us to understand. It is said that the eyes are the windows to the soul, because by looking at them we can read some sort of emotion or intention. Even when faced with a wild animal, you can vaguely tell the emotion they have, whether they are afraid or feel threatened by you. That does not apply to spiders. Their dark eyes are unreadable. Plus, their number of eyes allows them to look in many directions without moving, putting you in a position where you cannot guess their intention or next move. A spider nearby could be fixated on something completely different and be oblivious to your presence. But on the other hand, it can solely be focused on you without blinking, and you wouldn't be able to tell which is which. The longer you stare at it, the less comprehensible the creature becomes. And even if you keep looking, you know that you will ultimately have to admit you know nothing about it. Spiders also break the boundary of safe spaces. Your home is meant to be the one place nothing hunts you. No animal or beast is going to jump out at you in your room behind closed doors. But a spider can. In a room where it can squeeze through any entrance, it's free to enter and leave as it pleases. It's not trapped in there with you. You're trapped in there with it. They quietly enter our world without our knowledge. Who knows where it could be lurking, or which corner it could be hanging from. It could even be walking up your back as you search for it. Because no matter how much you may know your home or space, one could be walking across it every day without your knowledge. Spiders inflict a fear that lingers even after the danger is gone. Anxiety. Anxiety of where the spider came from and whether there are more. This is where spiders sometimes blend with the fear of the unknown. Their presence seems to stimulate or correspond with other fears. In the dark, when humans are most vulnerable, its position or even presence is unnerving. The spider doesn't even have to be present anymore. The possibility itself creates unrest. It could be crawling on the floor before you, scaling your walls, or even traversing the ceiling above your head. Plus, the ability to swing on webs gives them access to every space in between your four walls. And when the brain is hypervigilant, any shape can be mistaken for a creature. Your athleticism, size, speed, strength, none of it matters to what you cannot see. And of course, some have eyes that glow in the dark. Because why not? A bite from a large animal mostly carries the intention of consuming you. It is clearly a threat to your life, that the creature intends to eat you, or at least part of you. Your fight or flight response tells you to fight to get free, and then flee. But a bite from smaller creatures known to be dangerous usually means finality, a threat to your life that unfortunately you cannot flee from. Faced by a large animal, you can cheat death in many ways, but that sting sensation from a small creature is usually game over. And as the venom courses through your blood, you get the rare opportunity to think about your demise in those minutes or hours of silence before the chaos. I cannot fathom how horrific that must be, not being able to see the venom, but knowing it traverses through your veins. Like a malicious code slowly but surely corrupting and shutting down your system with no way to stop it. In 2004, headlines around the world ran a story out of Dortmund, Germany. A 30-year-old man named Mark Vogel kept an apartment full of exotic pets, over 200 spiders, several snakes, a gecko, thousands of termites. One day, his favorite pet, a black widow named Bettina, bit him. He couldn't call for help. By the time neighbors noticed the smell and police broke in, he'd been dead for over a week, and his own collection had started consuming him. Spiders were crawling from his nose and mouth. His flesh was carried back to nests in the ceiling. Police described the scene as something out of a horror film. It's the kind of story that spreads exactly the way you'd expect. It confirms everything people already suspect about keeping something like that too close. The only problem is, it never happened. No German outlet ever reported it. No police record, no death certificate, nothing. Just the same unverified tabloid story, copied and recirculated for 2 decades. And the details don't hold up on their own either. Black widow bites are rarely fatal even without treatment. The entire story was fabricated sometime around 2004, and it's been treated as fact ever since. It is widespread stories like these that greatly intensify the globally shared fear of spiders. Because a story doesn't need to be true to spread, it just needs to feel like it could be. And a story that confirms a fear you already have will always travel faster than the correction. Compare that to something that's actually well documented. In Australia, huntsman spiders have caused real car accidents, not by biting anyone, but by hiding behind sun visors and dropping onto drivers' laps mid-drive, panicking them into swerving off the road. A theory that I have always had about what unsettles people is not how different something might be, but instead how similar. Humans are very intelligent and adaptable. That's what makes them unique from all other creatures. And people always fear animals with similar traits and intelligence because they remind us of ourselves and we know of our capabilities. It's written in our history. An observation of how spiders hunt their prey shows some very unsettling similarities. Some spiders cache prey, wrapping it up and storing it for later, the same basic impulse where humans hoard food. They are very versatile in their use of webs as a tool, able to lasso a prey mid-flight, or even how the bolus spider creates a makeshift net to grab unsuspecting animals. Spiders often build traps and lie patiently in wait, and stalk prey with genuine tactical intelligence. Some species can literally fly, creating miniature web parachutes they use to glide across rivers and fields. Tarantulas have been observed keeping certain frogs in their nests, protecting them from predators in exchange for the frogs eating intruding insects near their eggs. A codependency arrangement, the kind we usually associate with ourselves. Maybe that's the real discomfort. A creature with behavior patterns a little too close to ours, running on a nervous system nothing like ours. It's a genuinely compelling theory, but also incomplete. Most people who are afraid of spiders couldn't tell you a single one of these facts. The fear doesn't wait for the resemblance to be noticed. It's already there. Another thing is their resilience. Humans can live on with the loss of limbs and still remain productive. If a spider loses a leg before reaching adulthood, they can grow another. But even as an adult, if they lose one leg or more, they can still move and hunt. It won't even stop their web-building abilities. Spiders have become fear made physical. In fiction, writers have known to take this exact fear and place it on the big screen. Many films have been made about spiders by simply removing their limitation of size, which I will be honest and admit I found kind of scary. A giant hairy spider rushing me is a sight I never expected to see. Plus, when they wrap their victims in web cocoons, is bound to evoke a sense of claustrophobia, and of course some mild basophobia. Even in video games, spiders are designed as monsters supposed to pounce on you, and their bites will drain your health. But to evoke really intense fear, films extract the very attributes that make us afraid of spiders and implement them in films, because most often fiction is unable to compete with reality. Thus, a formula oddly similar to what makes spiders scary is emulated. The number and size of limbs, cluster of eyes, fangs, silhouettes in the dark, and most importantly, that jerking and jarring movement. If you look closely, you can see these in almost every film that has ever scared you. The Exorcist is one of horror's most enduring images, not because it's grotesque, but because it's anatomically wrong. A human spine bending backward, hands and feet finding a symmetry no human skeleton is built for. Oddly enough, it's called the spider walk. Hereditary does something even more disturbing, because it's quieter. In certain scenes, she's simply there, motionless. What makes it terrifying is he doesn't see her, and he doesn't see her because she is where a person should not be, somewhere you wouldn't expect to have to look. And the way she moves in the shadows and on surfaces the human body shouldn't interact with is beyond sinister. As someone who had the pleasure of watching Hereditary in the dark, that film genuinely spooked me, and I can see how her movements in the dark reminded me of spiders. Once you start looking for this specific device, it's everywhere. Filmmakers keep returning to it because it costs almost nothing to stage and does something no jump scare can. It sits with you. And most importantly, it always works. This does seem to exacerbate the fear of spiders, whereby people's arachnophobia is justified and elevated, despite the fact that most people often encounter more fictional spiders than real ones. But if the fear of spiders stems from the lack of knowledge, then perhaps knowing more about them will help. That may not be so simple, because by knowing more, you only alleviate certain fears while simultaneously creating new ones. For instance, there are approximately 50,000 species of spiders, but less than 100 of them are dangerous to humans. Venom was evolved to take down smaller prey, not to seriously threaten something thousands of times larger. But the few species dangerous to us have venom toxins that have horrifying effects. Some spiders can grow to some disturbingly huge sizes. The Goliath bird-eater tarantula can grow up to a monstrous 12 inches with inch-long fangs. They are able to hunt birds, bats, and even rodents. And they do that without a web. I think a spider has no business being that big. But funny enough, the larger spiders are often the least dangerous to humans. Most spiders may not be dangerous to humans, but their venom is very complex, and the way they feed can be terrifying. Spiders have fangs, but no teeth. In order to feed on their prey, they inject them with their toxin, which literally liquefies their organs alive. Then they slurp up the nutritious fluid, leaving behind only an empty husk. The complexity of their biology can be attested to millions of years of evolution, which is older than dinosaurs and maybe even trees, making them one of the first complex predators to ever exist on land. Years of evolution has provided them with traits not seen in any other beings in the animal kingdom, the same way we evolved attributes not seen in other animals. As human civilizations becomes more urbanized, some animals unfortunately don't fare too well. But for spiders, their evolution doesn't stop. Some species adapt to artificial light and create web traps near streetlights, while some evolve to live indoors and hunt household pests. They have survived every mass extinction and outlived dinosaurs and many animals alike. They may even outlive us. Fear does not require the object to be dangerous. It only requires the mind to recognize a convincing pattern of danger. But sometimes fear and respect go alongside each other. We cannot fear what we don't respect, and we cannot respect what we do not fear. Despite spiders being something to be scared of, that fear connects people. Because what's more human than fear? The human brain evolved for pattern recognition in everything, and the slightest motion detection from the corner of our eyes. Our senses have evolved around that. But spiders, perhaps because they evolved millions of years before us, aren't limited to them. We put ourselves at a higher place than other creatures, yet we ourselves have little understanding about most of them. The more we try to predict the unpredictable, the more unpredictable they become. If fear is based on the unknown, then the less we know, the longer the fear will last.